Boomers, huh? They're quite something, aren't they? As someone who has a degree in boomerology, I can tell you that the boomer is often quite misunderstood, and society as a whole misunderstands them. We let them run free and it's causing quite a lot of problems. But don't worry, my years in the field of boomerology and expertise in boomer-human relations has led me to the wonderful realization that it doesn't have to be this way. There is something that we can do about them, and it's more humane than what we're currently doing now. But before that, for the uninitiated, why even bother? What's so bad about boomers? Let me preface this by saying, if you're a boomer watching this, you're one of the cool ones, and when we take over the world, you'll be given special exemptions. So what is a boomer anyway? A boomer is a person born directly after World War II in 1946 and up until 1964. Back then you could buy a house for pocket lint and spare change with a job you got right out of college because you shook the owner's hand and they hired you. The boomers will cry out and say, oh, but we had to pay high interest rates, but they didn't actually. Not really compared to now, as paying 8% on a $30,000 house isn't exactly the same as paying 7% on a $300,000 house. Okay, so these guys worked hard and made their money. So what? Well, in 1973, Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard, and you don't need to be an economist to see why that had an inflationary effect on just about everything, which was great for boomers who owned a lot of stuff. So essentially what happened was, boomers stole purchasing power from future generations to fix problems that weren't really that big of a deal in the first place. It's kind of like having a nail that needs to be hammered in, and you decide that the hammer may miss when you swing it, so you decide to drone strike the area to make sure it gets nailed in regardless of future implications. Okay, so they're wealthy, but surely this isn't that bad because there aren't that many baby boomers kicking around anyway, right? Well, you're also wrong there because there are more boomers than millennials, which I was shocked when I first read that as well. This is kind of crazy given the fact that millennials and younger generations are expected to pay for the pension of these boomers. And if there are more boomers than paying generations, then you can obviously see where the problem lies. Okay, so there's a lot of them and they're wealthy. At least because they're so hardworking, they must be very intelligent and wise, right? Well, also no, because of a thing called leaded petrol. Shout out to my main man Thomas Midgley. Let's see what effect lead has on the brain. Oh look here, it says increased risks of mental disorders including but not limited to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's and schizophrenia. Not to mention that it's basically proven that it causes significant decreases in IQ, especially amongst children. So, they're all under mental decline, and best of all, they're the highest voting group and the most pandered to as well. So far they're very rich, very influential, and also very dumb. Now that sounds like a recipe for success if you ask me. Surely this can only get better, right? Well, turns out they're also the easiest to fool, be it with propaganda or scams or whatever. One day I saw a post about a grandma being scammed by some Indian dude, and the grandson walks in, trying to get her off the phone before she loses her money. And she had the audacity to get mad at her grandson for, quote, not letting her help the police catch a criminal. Really, grandma? You were helping the police? And the police happened to have an Indian accent and was also called Dave Smith from Microsoft. So unsurprisingly, the grandma lost all her money and was completely shocked that someone would lie like that. Well, the grandson then started a GoFundMe to help replace the money she lost, and everyone was cooking them in the comments. Someone said it was basically a GoFundMe for the Indian scammer because that's where it was going to end up again, and let me just say, lol. It made me realise that when you argue with a boomer, you aren't actually arguing with them. You're basically arguing with the TV because that's all they watch and consume really. And the TV can't listen to you, but you can turn the TV off. Just kidding. Just kidding. We do not condone that on this channel. These are the same people who will ask you how to save something as a PDF file and get angry at you because they forgot their password to log into their Facebook account. Like, yes, I definitely should know your password for you. That's the reason why you made them. How silly of me to forget your passwords. They also love to say the phrase, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and it's so dumb because the factory that makes bootstraps was outsourced to a Chinese factory that makes them for pennies, in order for boomers to buy cheaper shit. If I hear another boomer tell me that I'm not working hard enough, and that they would just pull themselves up by the bootstraps, or start a business or something, I'm bringing them to the top of the stairs, and then I'm No, I'm not gonna do that. Why would I when I have Stu's universal boomer pushing leverage system? patent pending. With the push of a button, I can efficiently, and without incriminating myself, move an object down the stairs. It's only intended for use with non-sentient beings, and although one could argue boomers are non-sentient, our official policy is that we do not endorse murder. Mostly. So, we have this boomer problem, but don't worry, Stoic Stick is coming at you with the boomer solution. What is the boomer solution? Well, to sum it up, it involves giving every boomer an Apple Vision Pro headset and basically sectioning them off from society and letting them all live in a communal virtual world where they all can be boomers together. What does this achieve? Well, firstly, they're no longer our problem and can finally pass the baton on to younger generations. Secondly, it's also beneficial for them as it's a controlled environment, we control who has access to the environment, essentially destroying the Indian scammer business model in one swoop. Although for nostalgic reasons, we could implement an AI Indian scam within the boomer metaverse just for old time's sake, so that they can truly feel at home. Thirdly, because they're now living mostly virtually, we can reduce total government spending on pensions by about 90% by just feeding them slop through tubes as they eat virtual steaks in the boomerverse. Fourthly, house prices will finally decline to more normal levels without boomers going apeshit and starting World War III over a fake number in their portfolios. I was going to add a fifth reason, which would be that we could use their brains like factory farms in the Matrix to hold information, / use their brains for computing power. However, they're full of holes due to lead and dementia, so it wouldn't be the most reliable data storage technique. Actually, I do have a sixth reason, but it's not very safe for YouTube if you know what I mean. I'm probably going to do a video on it, but let's just say it rhymes with Gorgon harvesting, and who couldn't do with a set of extra eyeballs if you know what I mean. If you think about it, it's just wasting resources at that point. If you're gonna just let them be sectioned off in the boomerverse, they technically don't need those extra set of kidneys. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The technology is almost here for this to become a reality. All we really need is the government to legislate it, and you might be thinking, but Stu, the boomers control the most votes, they'll never let that pass. Well, all you need to do is call the bill the Ultimate Freedom for Americans and Patriotism Loving Bill, and if you vote against this, you're a communist. And they'll vote for it. It worked with the Patriot Act, and look where that got you. For legal reasons, I have to disclose that I have accumulated a large amount of Apple shares. So if this boomer plan does go through, I stand to make a lot of money, but that's not the reason we're doing this. It's purely for the betterment of society. But that's all I have for the boomer solution. If you have any suggestions on how to improve it, let me know below, and if you're a boomer, gaze upon your future. But anyway, if you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing, but other than that, thanks for watching, hope to see you in the next one. Bye.